You know how you have a Monday car? Because there aren't this many spot welds in one spot. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, and there's one here. Typically there's supposed to be 4, just like 5.
Restoration of a classic Ford is a journey of discovery. Let Autocrafters help you with yours. We offer quality parts for Falcon, Fairlane, F-Series, Galaxy, Maverick, and Pinto. Contact us today.
All right, time to grab the old trusty drill and get to work. I know I said last time that Logan was going to do all the spot weld drilling. It's true, he's going to do about 99% of it. I'm only going to show a few tips and tricks today. But I am going to drill a spot weld. That way you can't say, I did all this myself. Oh, I need to put my safety squints on. Ooh, got a little light. Well, these don't help, they hurt. There's only one layer of metal on that one, I think. No, you got the right edge. You got the edge of it. Awesome job. Okay, there's one that's either 3 or 2 right together, so that's actually 6 spot welds. That's how you know you got through. You see rust. I think we may be running out of battery. And believe me, it's going to get uglier before it gets better. Now, what I did right at the beginning of the episode was I was going in, I've marked up my spot weld positions, and I'll use something like, today I'm just using this old Markall paint stick I have from when I do a lot of the restoration stuff. This will work just fine for that activity. And what I'm doing is I'm going through and finding anywhere there's a spot weld, and I'm going to show you how I do that on this particular panel. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. One way is to sight it. You can take an angle onto the panel a little bit, and you can use reflective light to find the spot where they put the spot welds. That's what I did on this one up here, but on these facing panels it's a little tougher. So what I'll typically do is I'll use my finger to find the spot weld. I'll rub my hand down along the panel and you can feel where the spot weld is on the panel itself. Sometimes it's a little tough, but usually you can find all of them. Another tip for this too is whenever you're looking for spot welds, remember that Ford's not going to do any spot welds out on the outside edges. You're going to want to look along brake lines. And what I mean by that is it's a little hard to see on this radiator core support, but there is a mount line right here where this panel here is to be attached to the radiator core support. And that goes all the way down through here. And you'll notice that there's a bump line here. This is again for a place for the battery tray apron to mount up to the radiator core support. And then these are kind of just in the wind, so to speak, but are also lined in because this piece of the radiator core support will kind of butt up into the lower frame rail section here. There's a lot of spot welds on a classic Ford. Any of these unitized chassis, they've tried to put a ton of spot welds. Typically what I'll find is on the tops of these, there will be at least 4 spot welds, and there will be either a bunch or a little. Always look at the back side of your panel to see what the flashing on that panel does. All right, now what I'm going to show you is, like, for instance, with these, they'll have a flange line. This is your flange right here that runs across the back, and this is what they would weld to with the spot weld machine. They had an actual machine that had kind of a clamping device on it, not clamping device, but a pinching device that would sit on the panel and use high voltage to weld these panels together. The more spot welds you have, to a degree, the better the weld is going to be. And Ford had how many welds you needed per inch. All right, so you can see, like I said, the flanging line that runs here where this sits with it, and then there's a spot weld that I missed when I was circling, one right there, and I think one right here. And so those will be cut out eventually by Logan. So that's the basics of that. Now what I will tell you is you can do this stuff without using air tools. It's a lot harder and a lot more work. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to cut out the rest of these spot welds, and I'm going to go grab the tool that I would use to knock these out. And you're going to see that you're going to get pretty big guns doing this because it's a hand tool, and it's really not a lot of fun. Whee! Yes, I know I should have my safety glasses on, but when my safety glasses on, I can't see what I'm doing. And I want to talk about something real quickly before we get started on actually banging and flailing on this top panel piece here. Typically what I try to do is I try to get a drill bit and start off as I showed you in the beginning of the episode, where we do a guide hole and then we do the main drill bit, and I drill through and think about what I'm going to be doing in the future. You're always working one move ahead. And what that means is that for this panel, this piece right here will be welded to from the bottom inside the inner wheel well, because you don't necessarily want to weld this from up top. If you do, these welds can be visible to the naked eye on the inside part of the fender. But if you weld up from the bottom, it'll actually suck the metal a little bit down and give you the effect of a spot weld. Another thing you need to do is also use a drill bit that is larger than the spot weld is. That can be a problem if you've got a stutter weld like you've got right here on this, but most of the time if you use a drill bit that is larger than a spot welder, you're good to go. Now these cars used a little smaller spot welder than some of the later Mustangs and Falcons did. Some of those are quite large, and you're going to have a pretty good sized drill bit to drill these out. I'm going to use this as a tool I got from Eastwood years and years ago. This is a Steck, and this is specifically used for breaking apart sheet metal. It's a nice heavy-duty tool. I don't even know if they carry these anymore, but you can look to Eastwood for some body tools for your car if you want to try to do some of this stuff. I also use a really big hammer because while the blows are a little bit harder on my elbow, they're a little easier on the sheet metal. Your goal is to bend your sacrificial piece, which is the one on the top. You don't want to bend the lower sheet metal. Okay, we're looking good up here. Now what I would do is just continue to move down through the panel and knock out the rest of these spot welds. And I've got everything marked, so Logan should have a lot of fun going in and working these. I'm going to go ahead and go over and mark the other ones up and get that ready to go for him so that, you know, he's got plenty to do. All right, now something I wanted to go over real quickly here is a good example of what I'm talking about with the flanging. Ford put these flange lines inside of here. This was to help the guys on the assembly line know where to set the panels up to spot weld them in, and that'll be a good guide for where most all of your spot welds are going to be. Like right here, there's a cheeky little spot weld that you're going to come across. There's a couple of spot welds on the top of the frame rail section here, and there's 2 more that are down here. They're going to need to be cut out so that you can take this piece out of the front, and of course the ones on the underside for the struts. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my wire wheel, put my safety glasses on that I can't see through, and see if I can find a couple of these along this line here, because these on this side are a little less obvious, and sometimes if you use a wire wheel on them, they show up better. Kind of makes me wonder if this guy just didn't do this side. I'm not finding any with my finger here. Now this is the more dangerous side because we don't want to have to replace that apron back in here on this panel. But I am not seeing any indentions for spot welds. What I'm going to do here is I'm going in and using my thumb to wipe the panel down to see if I can get this to clean up a little bit so I can maybe see something. This one's special. And in order to kind of prove me wrong, this line that's right here is actually not the line, the lay line for the inner fender on this side. It's actually right about there. I can feel the spot welds now. So this line right here is the line for the spot welds, all the way up in behind this bracket here. So now I'm going to just go through and start marking these up for Logan, so you can have all the fun I can have with it, and go from there. I'll go in and start marking these up here in a second. One there. They should be about 1 inch apart. Unless this is a Monday car or a Friday car, because then all bets are off. One there. One there. One there. He hiccuped and there's one there. All right, this one is one of those that I would do a visual siding on, but if you grind the panel down to the original metal, you can see where there's a lip on this from the spot welder. That right there lets me know there's a spot weld there, and there's one here. I'm going to have to take this bracket off in order to get to the rest of these, because probably there's some back behind this bracket. So that's our little episode this week on how to find the spot welds on this thing to start cutting them off. We're not going to go ad nauseum on this and show you every little jot and tittle of him cutting it off. I'll probably do something like later on and just show the final of him taking it out of here. But we're going to keep moving through this and show you everything we do in individual episodes and break it into little parts like this to make it a little easier to digest. Do me a favor though, go check out the Patreon account at the $10 month level. You get monthly meetings with me on Zoom. And that's really cool because we basically have a bunch of people get together. It's like a big party, but I also do tech Q&A with each one of you guys. And we also have a new thing that we're putting up every month, a video that is a tech video for the Patreon guys only. Now this doesn't affect anything to do with you guys that watch the show every week. Our shows like Manic and Autorestomod, not affected by that at all. We have Andrew now, so Andrew's got to have something to do. As I always say, and it makes him mad. I don't care because it's Andrew. I don't care about making him mad. I'll do it if he quits. That would be bad. Anyway, also subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, click that bell for notification. YouTube algorithms have changed, and you're not seeing what you should be seeing from us as far as information is concerned. They're not putting all that up there where you can see it. I've got a couple channels that I follow that I'm not seeing anything from, that are smaller like I am, which concerns me a little bit for what they're presenting to you if you're not a subscriber. So do subscribe to the channel. It'll be good for you and good for us. You won't miss out on any information. Finally, in all, do yourself a favor and be good to each other, be kind to each other, love on each other. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you on down the road. Well, after Logan's practice today, I guess I'll just send him out here and he'll go zzz with the drill and with the big bit, and then, you know, get it ready to come off. Because it's a lot of welding that's been done here. There's a lot of bad things on this front end too.